I'd like to talk about Ben Hogan and how he influenced my life. When I was 13, I saw him play golf. Uh, when I was 16, I saw him play. But when I was a freshman in college, he came out with his book, and he had some excerpts in Sports Illustrated, and I really scoured those excerpts and tried to infiltrate them into my game, and I had a lot of trouble. So in 1957, that same year, I went out and watched him play at Inverness for the U.S. Open. And he actually pulled out of that tournament before it started, but I watched him practice and hit balls just to verify if he was doing what he said he was doing. And he definitely was. So what I did after that was I went away from what he tried to teach, what he taught, because I couldn't do it except for the grip. And then I caddied for Bob Toski in 1958, the same year, 1957. And after finishing caddying for him, I went down to the practice tee and I heard Lionel Bear teach Jay Bear. They were both PGA champions. Give him a lesson. At that time, I lined up to the right. My shoulders got closed and I lined up to the right. I took it inside and I hooked everything. And I heard Lionel tell Jay, it's all wrong what you're doing. You're to the right. You got to do what Hogan does. You got to start more to the left before you start and walk in there. And as you take your stance, you close up, but you still are a little bit left or open. And the next time I saw him was 1964 at Oakland Hills when I was an assistant pro at Jackson Country Club in Jackson, Michigan. I drove up there and watched him for 2 days, and I observed what Lionel had told Jay back 7 years prior. Okay, and watching this, I saw him not have a top to the swing. Prior to that, I had lost some important tournaments by when I got to the top. A surprise greeted me, and I went over the shot with my right side. I hadn't been playing that way all day, but it just greeted me there at a not good time, and it cost me the match. And so I was fascinated by Hogan that he didn't have a top, that when his hands were getting to the top, his lower body had already moved forward, so there wasn't any time in his swing where everything stopped and he had to start it over again. A great opportunity for the right side to beat you, which I had trouble with. So when I saw him not have a top and take the club back for an 8-iron shot, and before the club ever got 3/4 of the way back, his hips were moving forward, I said, boy, that is it, and how do you do that? And what I did was study him, and I copied how his body was in an open position at address, but his feet weren't, and how he got into that position, the way the A-Bearers had alluded to, and I used that as a summum bonum, so to speak, of the way I teach. And I used his pre-shot routine. He held it in the right hand because he was left-handed. I hold it in the left hand. Palmer kind of did the same thing. He started it in his left hand. And they both stepped in with the right foot. They were open. They stepped in, squared off, and it made them less open, but nevertheless still open. And from that position, you could really start the left shoulder because you're in the proper position, because the right hand is further out than the left, so the shoulders physiologically should be open. And from that position, you can start your turn and have the club not go inside right away. It stays out, gives you a long route. You get wound up or coiled before the hands reach the top, and your lower body's on call and move forward before the club has reached the top, taking out that deadly top stop to hit from. And the verification of his grip, his alignment, the way he waggled the club, the way he got into position, and the way he started his swing, all were the fundamental bedrocks of what I teach, and I got it all from him.